approved the agenda, and if there's any amendments to it, we can discuss those now. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Have a
agenda.
motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the approval of the minutes, yes, it would have been our August meeting, since we did not meet last month. So I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll entertain that.
Okay. Have a motion? Need a second?
I'll second the motion.
All right, motion second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is any citizen input. If anyone is here that would like to address the advisory committee? Okay, nobody. So next is the financial statements, item 5.
You should have those in front of you there. No particular action needed necessarily other than a quick
Just
review.
information.
Yeah, I've run it through, usually I do this little short summary, kind of bringing it all together. But on this one, I've gone ahead and attached all the detailed reports, specific spending. And then we'll put this out on the city's transparency section,
Okay.
ideally by the end of the week, including all the general fund stuff as well. We're mostly healthier though, the utility, that's the other reason we'll be talking about it a little bit. We need to review the rates and review the progress and make adjustments.
Okay. And the director's report.
Well, for this, we've got the roundup. I guess we've included a roundup draft ordinance in this section.
Right.
We discussed this before I went on vacation, and I hope you just encapsulated your feedback and your suggestions into this draft ordinance. If you feel this meets your approval, then I'll present it to the Board of Alders for their formal consideration. If there's something about it you think might need a further tweak or a further adjustment, I'm happy to do that ahead of presenting it to the board. We won't be able to issue anything more than exists in the fund, but something to keep in mind with this roundup. It is intended to be a fully self-contained program, so if we receive donations, then obviously we would be able to issue those. If we don't receive donations or the fund is dry, we wouldn't be able to issue anything. I did include in there, Angie made the suggestion about a third-party assessor. I did include that in there. I'm afraid I forgot the name. Do you mind reminding me the name of?
Well, there's OCAC. I'm sure there are a lot of organizations, but OCAC is one.
Just give me a point to start, but we included that in there as something that would formally kick it off. And then just in the event that it doesn't work as intended, I did include a provision in there if the program was dissolved, how those funds will be handled, which would specifically go towards financial hardship programs and charities, with a provision in there to notify the public of where, when, how, and a public input period as well if they decide that they don't want funds to go to that organization. So I think I've covered all the potential bases on that. But again, welcome your feedback, your input, and if you think it's ready to roll, I'll present it to the board at the next board meeting.
And this is for the assistance for water.
Yeah, so the idea here was, it's a voluntary program, so, you know, if folks don't want to participate in donating, no harm, no foul, no change. For those that do, they can reach out to us, they can request to roll up, and we'll round it up to the next dollar, or they can request a fixed recurring amount, a one-time amount, or, as I say, none of the above. It's entirely intended to be voluntary. The inspiration came from other utility bills I've seen, gas, electric, where they say, hey, you know, help your neighbors when it gets cold out, donate to the warm-up fund or whatever they may call it. So it's just intended to be similar. It's a way that we can operate a public system in a way that helps the public through community-minded donations. And then another suggestion I had recently focused on a post-leak billing support program. So we'll work on that for next time. Specifically, you know, if you have a big leak at the end of your billing period, it spreads across 2 bills. And our payment agreements only work for 1 bill, so we're going to try tweak that a little bit to deliver a little public good there as well.
Do you have a lot of people that can't pay the bill, or what's your average? I mean, I'm just curious.
I would be lying if I gave you numbers. We hear about it enough that it makes it worth considering. We
Good,
don't hear about it so much that it's gonna deplete our ability to cover, I don't think. But again, it'll depend entirely on how many donations we receive. Based on if and how much we receive, will likely determine, how the program's ever operate. And another reason, I think, having a third-party company come in and tell us how this might work and, their experience in programs of the same nature, we can determine the overall feasibility and when we can keep the program off formal applications.
I think it's a good idea.
What is the cutoff policy? Cutting off service like for non-payment?
Oh, so
Is it like so many months of non-payment or?
no, they'll have a last day to pay, and if they don't pay by that last day, then they'll be eligible for shut off, and then we do our shut off usually within, about 10, 20 days.
There's 30 days later.
30 days later.
Okay.
They can make a payment agreement.
Oh, go on a payment plan.
That'll help
Okay.
them. We have some people that routinely get on those, and part of the issue I see in talking with utility is some folks will hit the skids and then routinely pay the late fees and things like that. If we can offer them a way to maybe skip hitting that point in the first place, then maybe they skip having to pay the extra late fees on top every time.
Sure.
Seems to me if you can afford to do that, if we could get you backed up enough that you don't have to do that,
Mhm.
it kind of frees up some money in that budget that may help in other ways.
Okay.
It's just the pattern we see. Again, in practice we may find they still keep getting skids, but we're hoping to just move that back a little bit enough that they don't pay late fees all the time.
Do you have many per month?
I believe the last number I had was about 39. We're trying to figure out which ones are the regulars, and it seems like it's about 39 regulars.
Is there an
They-
additional fee, like when they catch up, to turn them back on? Do you-
Yeah, the additional disconnect fees, but usually there's a late fee. I mean,
Right.
just a late fee alone, if somebody
Oh,
did
yeah.
with that, it's money back in their pocket.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So if you're not shutting them off, I mean, you're saving $50 on a reconnect fee,
Yeah.
So that's half your next water bill next month if they're able to avoid that.
Mhm. Right. Okay, any other discussion on the Roundup program, donation program?
That's all I have on that. I will plan, unless you guys have any strong feeling against it, I'll plan on presenting to the board on October 27th for formal consideration.
Okay.
If you read through it, you kind of have some thoughts between now and the Wednesday before that, do let me know and I can tweak those and pass that along. Or if they're significant enough, I can pause that and rewrite it and we can bring it back for the board to have a bit of input on.
Okay,
Okay?
all right, thank you.
I would suggest you have really strict parameters about when you help people. Like you can say, if you're in disconnect, you're about to be disconnected, and if you qualify, that can be the window. Otherwise, you're just
I
kind of,
tried to leave it somewhat open as far as the ordinance and create the program. I think the administration would be determined a lot by the
Probably,
third
yeah.
party and their input, but yes, I agree. We want to try to have some expectations in there that if I apply, if I need help, here's how it's gonna look and here's when I need to reach out. Yeah, I completely agree.
Does Springfield have a similar program?
yeah, city utilities does, yeah. They, it's called Project Share, and you can contribute, and they also even have fundraisers and I don't know exactly what they do, but yeah, and
It's
you have to
been
be
in
in,
place.
you have to be in disconnect to get,
To get to that point.
yeah, and it goes through OCAC.
They've been doing it over 30 years, I
Yeah,
think.
Yeah, they started a long time ago.
Yeah, well, it's helpful as you can,
Yeah. Of course, CU is different, it has all the utilities.
yeah.
Electric, gas, and water, So that is it's a bigger chunk of your
It's a bigger
budget,
pool too,
of
yeah.
a person's budget.
All right, I do appreciate everybody's input, and I think, hopefully that is reflective of the input. It certainly helped me get my thoughts in place before we did that.
Okay. All right. Any new business?
The dreaded rates.
What's that?
The dreaded rates.
Oh, yeah.
Just as a little context, you know, we did work on the rates, about this time last year, and then it pushed and pushed and pushed as the discussions went on. As part of the discussions, that was the impetus that created the water advisory boards, that you guys could act as a liaison with the community. The other part of that was we passed as part of the ordinance that the city would be required to review rates every year in conjunction with the budget and make those recommendations. So that's kind of why we're here today, is we're at the point of the budget's being created. The ordinance expects us to review it. So Carolyn has worked on looking at rates, considering what we've got going on, considering the work we've done and the large projects we have ahead, and she's prepared to present some rate recommendations to you for thought, input, and discussion. She's got 4 different rates, ranging from the lowest to, you know, the ideal, so that you guys can kind of weigh in and see. What we found is we've reviewed projects that are coming up and tried to push those off that we think can wait a little bit, and focus on those projects that we know must go ahead, should go ahead, and need to go ahead. We of course have 2 large projects on the immediate horizon, which will generate the growth that the public's been asking for. Of course, we have to figure out a way to fund those, assuming that there's 0 growth. But the hope there is that with the growth that we need, it'll create a broader base of people to share the responsibility of operating the system. I always give my speech on, you know, the utility is a business first and foremost. We have to keep that in mind when we consider rates. It's not a profit motive business, no, but it is a cost recovery business, yes. We deliver our benefit by keeping the costs reasonable, not delivering dividends and paying $1 million shareholder or CEO. So we do have that to our advantage. I always like to remind folks that when you read of studies and stories of utilities getting bought out because they can't afford to fix stuff, it never usually ends well. I don't think I've read one yet that ends well for the public. The rates are usually sharper, so I do encourage responsible thought as we go into this. Focus on it as a business decision, not as a tax benefit. Taxes do support our ability to offer water in some regard, but not in full regard. It's just a cost share with the streets department is the only benefit there. Everything else has to be self-contained, self-covered. We also have to plan for the future. Some of that goes into the rate discussions as well. I have seen comments about sewer getting the wastewater treatment plant and things like that, and I think it's good the community's thinking that far ahead. Even doing that, we have to make sure that if that's what the public wants, we build up significant reserve to be able to pay that. Otherwise, the debt financing on that, nobody's going to like that rate. It's going to be pretty expensive, as I'm sure you all are very well aware. With that, Carolyn has a presentation. I'll throw it over to Carolyn. We also have Trevor here. We've been talking about some of the projects we've been doing. So I know you guys are familiar. We wanted Trevor here just to kind of put it on the record as part of the discussion, some of the projects. And then I can talk a little bit about the 94 to Springfield project the board approved, the anticipated Meadows project, and then our efforts to get 94 connected to our B lift station and be improved, which will generate some growth in the north. So we're right on the verge of doing some cool stuff, but it just unfortunately takes just a little bit more of a push to get us there. So I'll throw it over to you, Carolyn. You want me to put the PowerPoint up first?
Okay, I put together this report hopefully to kind of give you a view of what we're looking at. We've been going over our budgets, our projected expenses, so we have a pretty good idea of what it's going to cost to operate and keep everything going like we should. As we all agree, I think that reliable water supply and a reliable wastewater system is very important. We've been working with an engineering firm. We've got good staff also that's been working on this, and to know what we need for some future needs. Okay, the primary driver behind the rate increase is the need for substantial improvements in the existing water and sewer infrastructure. The city's ongoing collaboration with engineering firm Alger Morton and Associates focuses on critical projects, including the enhancement of the 94 lift station and force main, as well as the Meadows connection to Springfield. Additionally, this plan includes a closure of the lagoon system, which is EPA is pushing.
Not pushing, but we anticipate maybe within the next 5 years, Ellen, to be asking us to wind it up. So we're getting ahead of that.
Going to the next one. Takes strategic planning and communication with the community. The city has emphasized the importance of maintaining transparency, and I think that's apparent with our board. And we're trying to make sure everybody understands what we are doing as in the key areas. Over the next several years, there's going to be efforts to communicate the projects that we have that we need to do in order to maintain our water supply, our wastewater, and our infrastructure. Okay, some of the future developments, looking toward the future, further enhancements needed to construct a new well, because at some point we will need another well. It will not, the well we have will not be sufficient to supply the water we need for our city. And also with that, we need a water storage tower. These projects are vital in sustaining and improving the water quality available to the Willard residents. In order to do this, because right now, if we had a big problem with a line, with our main well, it could create a problem for the entire city, and we don't want to see that. Okay, I put together current rates, it's on your left, what we currently have. Then I put 4 different rates, 10, 12, 15, and 20, and that's what the rates would be. If you look at other cities, you'll find that they, as well, in the next few years, are raising their rates too. We're not off from what many cities, and actually lower than some cities. If you go to the next page. Okay, if you look at the 10% rate increase, this is the current rate, which is the yellow. The green is the 10% new rate. And then the red line expresses our expenses. You will see that the revenue does not meet what our expenses are at 10%. The same with the 12%. We barely, it just doesn't quite make it. And unfortunately, when we do not make enough revenue to cover our expenses, that means it's squeezing into our reserves. You can only use reserves for so long, and then you don't have reserves.
Is this page water or sewer?
Pardon?
Is this page water or sewer?
It's both.
Oh, both combined?
Okay, if you go to the next page, this is a 15% and a 20%. As you see, the 15%, pretty well, it's right at the edge. Around 27, we're going to be maybe a little bit short. And that's, we've got 27 not doing very many projects at all in order to get our reserves so they're not so low. Then it goes across, like I said, it just barely, it connects. If you look at the 20%, the revenue's a little bit above the expense line. Here's what we're facing. We've got a lot of projects coming up in the next few years. We cannot go into those projects, even if we get grants, a lot of the time they're 2080. So we've got to have some reserves in order to do those projects. So yeah, it looks bad, 20%. Nobody wants to see it. But in order to move forward, I feel that we need to do this. Again, it's up to the board and what they decide to do. If you go to the next page,
Question on these, you know, you got your current, revenues.
Uh-huh.
Is there any kind of customer growth rate built into that? I mean, it doesn't look like the yellow bars are pretty flat.
That's at 1%.
Yeah.
What's that?
The customer growth rate is at 1% currently.
One, okay, so very, very small.
Yeah. And, yeah,
We're anticipating potential to grow more than that,
Uh-huh.
particularly with the meadows coming online, and particularly if we get B to 94 connected.
Okay.
We don't wanna factor in, we'd rather plan for the worst and hope for the best than plan for the best and try to get the worst. So, with about 2% coming online, it does have a positive effect on the rates, absolutely.
Okay.
So when you get connected over there on the, getting off the lagoon over there,
Mhm.
and you connect up at that lift station at 103, that's where you're gonna connect in, right?
Correct.
Is that, how much is that gonna allow you to be hooked up to get that growth area over there, say all that area around there? So around the
plan-
school and some of that
The
would.
plan we're looking at will allow significant growth down there. We've actually asked the engineers to upsize the pipe from their original recommendation.
I was gonna
So, I mean,
say-
really, we would have growth for quite a considerable amount of time. We also have developer interest right now.
That's what I was gonna say, I see,
Yeah.
I can see tons of development, and I know that lagoon's holding us back, I'm
It
sure.
is. Well, I mean, there was basically a moratorium. DNR
Right.
didn't want us to add any more to
Yeah.
the system. Even if we could, I don't think we had the capacity anyway, but they basically said, you know, no new connections. I had a conversation with a developer just last week.
Yeah,
Still interested, significant development down there. We have another development closer to the water tower. They're still interested, be a slightly more phased plan and a few more wrinkles to figure out. These large-scale projects generate interest, they already have. We've heard from one buyer recently that the land price went up
yeah.
because they had good things that coming to Willett, so they figured they could jack the price up a little bit. So, I mean, people know we're up to stuff. Horses are for courses though, will it manifest, we can't promise, but it looks likely that once we start moving, things will start happening.
So, on your infrastructure, so, and I'm sure you guys are doing it, but say you plat some subdivisions out that way, some more growth in housing, let's just use housing. And the developer, he's gonna do all your infra fill,
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna have to.
he'll have to
his
put all that in,
infrastructure.
and then you guys either absorb it or maintain it, whatever you
We'll
guys.
absorb it and maintain it.
maintain it.
But usually there's gonna be some degree of impact fee that the board passed, last year, so I mean, they're gonna pay for future wear and tear on the system.
Right.
Growth kind of funds itself to a degree, we may have to incentivize here and there, but I doubt it. I think there's enough interest down there, and it's been there, and now the city is able to move and get something done to kind of capture it.
Sure.
We got the number 2 rated in the schools for the area this year. I think that's generated more interest in moving to Willett. So we as a city just simply have to be able to deliver the infrastructure necessary for the growth. I think that's been what's held Willett back for the longest time. Even beyond just water and sewer, you'll notice we've been doing a lot this year, kind of getting ready and paving the way. So short version is I think the growth will show up, just can't promise it.
Yeah, and I understand that. I feel like that has been a hot potato down there for a long time. It just hasn't got out of the oven yet.
Yeah.
But it's about to. And if you
And
guys
so-
are bringing that sewer together, that's what, part of that around that goes around the fire station down there. I believe that's zone commercials. Some
Yeah,
of lots of out
that's
there.
commercial down there.
And then you got the rest of it. There's a lot of growth in.
We're
And
also
commercial.
starting to get commercial interest up
Yeah.
this end of town, and we hope to have some good news. I mean, it's always discussions, but, we're hoping again, it's just all these little things come together to get people interested. They notice Willett, they know we mean business, they reach out and they ask questions. So, I think and hope that here in the next probably couple of months, we'll start hearing things
Good.
that we can share. Another reason that I think when we do the annual rate review, it makes the most sense, because right now, things are quite fluid, so we might get to next year and go, well, we thought it was gonna look like this. Fingers crossed, I mean, if the growth's coming, we can factor that in, if we know it's coming. Hopefully, future discussions are a little less,
Well, and that's the way to look at it. I applaud you guys 100%. I mean, getting it out there and getting it ready. And then when they're ready, you're ready, and away you go, and here it comes.
and ultimately, that's that's the best outcome for the city. I mean, right now, we're kind of supporting ourselves. If the
Right.
growth comes online, I mean, you don't necessarily want to think about it that way, but it doesn't make it any less true. You're sharing the responsibility across a broader base of people, and that's what we want. And ultimately, if we can get enough commercial online, commercial can support a little bit more on behalf of the residential side, which is typical for a system like this. So, we just got to push, and I think we've pushed well this year. We'll continue to push a little bit next year, with the significant projects. And then my hope is very shortly after we start breaking ground, we'll start seeing people want to also do the same.
Good, that's exciting. That's exciting. I'm all about it.
That's what keeps me waking up every day. I love it.
I do too.
It's a very exciting
I like to
times.
see new stuff happening. I love it.
And I know we'll have heard a lot of that over the years, and I understand that from talking with folks, but I really, truly believe we're just right there. You know, we just gotta do the work to get it done.
On your rate increases, how much, as you're building in, just staying level, but as you grow, when I'm looking at these rate increases, and how much do you plan for that point to start your renewal to kind of pick up part of your old stuff and get it out of the ground? Are you looking at like
we're
5% a year, 10% a year growth?
We're still budgeting for the I&I primarily. We're trying to be creative. The water department has also put in new lines this year, and they budget about $100,000 for new lines on the water side.
Yeah, that looked good down there on Jackson. That was a nice project.
Yeah, that came out nice.
So you should see some sidewalks going on.
That should be started up here pretty quick.
On the sewer side, we started out with $50,000 for I&I. We had hoped to see savings, but we had one heck of a rainy month. Knock on wood, we think that we saw a drop in the peak rate for our rainfall, most recent rainfall event. I think it dropped. We were seeing typically 600,000 on rain. It dropped to about 500,000. So we'll wait for the next one, which would be about mid-December, January, to see if that's a true pattern or just a fluke. But they did do some significant work down there at the lift station, and we're hoping that this will pay off. Now I just told them, please find a big hole in a sewer pipe in a detention basin or something. They haven't delivered yet, but again, the idea is a savings manifest on our Springfield bill.
Sure.
We roll that into, we don't consider it savings, we just roll it straight into small I&I work. So they really are trying. Springfield's been a fabulous resource to coming out and talking with us and sharing tips and tricks. I think another thing you'll see in the coming months, my mindset is if it takes us 5 years to handle the public side, and then another 5 years for people to take their gutters and downspouts off the system, we're 10 years before we get it all out. So we're going to start exploring ways to incentivize people to disconnect the downspouts, disconnect the sump pumps, and see if the laterals are broken, and get it all taken care of. So,
Good.
Long story short, we're still pushing on that stuff, and we're still maintaining, and we're still fixing and improving, and I don't see that changing in these numbers.
Wes, can you repeat that, 100,000 was that for water main renewal? Is that what you said?
Yes, for water improvements.
Water improvement, so,
Putting in new
What is-
lines, improving things, adding valves. I'll let Trevor talk more on some of his ideas, but that's the general nuts and bolts of it. Seeing if we can do inserted valves and just enhancing the system, right?
Yeah, getting out a lot of 2-inch galvanized line is kind of the big thing we're gonna try for next year.
That's a plus.
So hopefully in the next 5 years, we can have it all out, but, I'm sure we'll find some more.
and so 100,000 in the next year is what you're thinking?
Yeah, next year's what we've got.
And I think that's what we budgeted this year.
It is,
as well, right?
yeah.
Is that pretty much you guys gonna handle all the labor side of it?
Yeah.
They got a pretty reliable crew.
Yeah,
On the water side.
No, I enjoyed watching you guys do that over on Jackson.
Yeah.
I was up down Jackson quite a bit.
We definitely didn't plan that at the beginning of the year, but it was just kind of like an impromptu, hey, well, we're here.
Sorry, Trevor.
Yeah, it's all Mike's fault. but-
Just go jump in and start.
Yeah, but it actually worked out really good, so,
That's a big.
yeah.
And for public engagement, we're working on ways to deliver the metrics and kind of say, here's how much we spent, here's what we did. Hopefully next year we'll do a much better job of having some deliverable numbers and metrics on what we've done.
Well, and honestly, probably a lot of the public don't drive by and look at it like I would or Kim or
Now,
some of us in this group, and we all.
I got
we
a
all
little
know
video when
the
they
benefit
started.
of it. They just see you guys down there digging, throwing stuff in the ground.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we appreciate you guys too, you know,
Yeah.
the occasional honking wave's always nice when you're on the
Yeah.
outside.
Well, we'll continue trying to put videos out as well, and we did one right at the beginning of that project, and I anticipate here in the next couple of weeks, we'll do kind of an interview basis video discussing some improvements, options, opportunities, and what we're up to.
The fiber, this is off the question, I won't keep it for a second. The fiber that you guys, all the fiber that ran around town, did they pull all the aerial down off the poles? I mean, you know, you used to have aerial cable,
I don't know about
and I
that.
wonder, did they pull the aerial down?
We're not the electric provider, so I don't know.
I didn't know.
I know they
think there's
did,
still a lot of traditional cable.
they did not on my property.
Yeah,
But
I just didn't know, cause I knew they went under.
Yeah, they went under in a lot of the areas. I don't think they touched any of the cable infrastructure. I think that's separate.
Some of
I
it's
think
separate deal.
MediaCom's maybe trying to push it towards their Zoom box or whatever it's called, but I think they still deliver tradition as well. As Mike says, not a radio.
They just hang on the poles.
I definitely charge connection points and stuff like that if they were on poles, but I don't.
So what is the plan? Are you approaching the board with all of these options and leaving it to them to decide?
What we're hoping for is if the advisory board has a particular feeling towards any area, we would appreciate your recommendation, advice and guidance. And then of course, as liaison, we would appreciate your eyes and ears in the community. Just to keep things on a timeline, we anticipate public hearing being scheduled for December the 8th, which would give us time as a water advisory board to meet one more time, give you guys time to solicit input, feedback, discuss things with people who are concerned in the community, maybe even give us a chance to acknowledge those and discuss those in the advisory board meeting more, a less formal board meeting scenario. We want the public to feel involved. You know, we live here too. We don't want to pay any more than anybody else wants to pay more. But unfortunately, these leadership positions, we have to make those recommendations. And I know some people feel it's been years, it's been deferred, it's been put off. Why should we have to pay for it now? It's kind of like buying a 100-year-old house and wondering why the first owner didn't change the plumbing out. You know, it's your house now, and likewise, we own this today, and we have to deal with it at today's prices, unfortunately. So the question is really just how much do we want to bite off now, and how much do we want to wait on the growth to manifest?
Can you review when in the last 5 years, when we had rate increases and how much they were?
I think we did that the last one, but we can run that again, absolutely.
But these rate increases you guys are looking at, they are combined water sewer.
They're combined across both. I mean, essentially, the utilities operate in tandem.
Seamless, kind of.
We share the cost between both, so staff are paid equally by both.
Okay.
You know, equipment is bought equally by both, and then for a period of time, there will be water support necessary to keep the sewer fund operational when its reserves dip. So it seems better to cover them as one entity, even though we're operating in separate in the fund basis.
So with the rate increase, then you guys are hoping that, like she was saying, you'll build the reserve up, obviously.
That would be what we would be looking at with the 20%.
At the 20%, yeah, that's what I was looking at.
I think there's more of a case for that. Yes, as Carolyn says, if we get grants, usually there's going to be a 20% match. So having money on hand allows us to exercise a grant that maybe we wouldn't otherwise be able to do. Where it becomes particularly more important is if we seriously as a community want to entertain building our own sewer treatment facility, we're going to have to build up a significant reserve. I mean, I think it was the 2019 price, they priced a treatment plant about $20 million. There's no way we're going to build a treatment plant for $20 million today. So we have to keep that in mind, and even if we do build up a significant reserve over the next 10 years, in 10 years the treatment facility could be $100 million. We don't know.
Easy.
Yeah, we don't know. So that's something that we weigh as a community. You know, if that's something the community really wants, we would definitely explore it. We would definitely make the plans and again, I think that makes more of a case for the 20%. I think everybody's hurting. Maybe that diminishes the case for the 20% right now. But we certainly want to make sure we break even at the moment. The numbers look like 12 to 15%. Keep us in the safety margin.
And you're looking at doing the yearly increase and then just kind of take it out to like 20, 30?
I don't want to recommend that right now. I want to recommend to you guys we do year by year.
Year by year,
It's-
okay.
It's a bit more uncomfortable, it's a bit more stressful,
Right.
but it encourages and really forces us to look at this properly year after year, and that's why we passed the ordinance the way we did. Yes, the board can absolutely recommend we just lock it in. That could be part of the hearing, but I would not, me personally, I would not recommend that right now. So much can change, and
Oh, yeah.
we hope that it will.
Well, I didn't know if you had a plan to think, okay, this year we'll do 5%, next year we'll go 10, next year we'll go 15, we'll go 20. By the time you get to 30, you've hit your peak
Yeah,
of what you're trying to get to, or wherever you start at. I mean,
The goal here is to cover costs. I mean, we can't ramp up, otherwise we would have ramped that up the last time. And
Right.
The ramping up would have been 10 years ago, to say, we've got these deferred maintenance items, let's make a plan and let's figure it out.
right.
Unfortunately, like many utilities across the nation, the maintenance has been deferred and the issues compounded, and now we're at today's prices, post-COVID, crazy prices.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it.
It doesn't make the problem go away because we don't like the price though, unfortunately. So these are just the recommendations. Board can go higher, board can go lower, I doubt they would. I'm sure they would go with what they recommend, but if there's a level of comfort or opinion, I think that's gonna be beneficial. I would encourage you guys to be a part of the hearing and be present and bring any points of view that you've received from the community as well.
What was the last rate when you guys did the last one? Was it across the board, was
It was across the board. We removed the differential between
That's right.
in-city and out-of-city, so it's a unified rate. The commercial rate was also removed because there wasn't enough commercial to warrant having separate rates at the time. Although at least that was a recommendation now. So we have one rate for everybody water, one rate for everybody for sewer.
And what was that?
And was it 10?
No, it was more than 10.
It was 50-something%.
Yeah, I think it was a little under 50.
No, it was more than 50.
No, it wasn't more than 50. It depended on how you did the math.
Okay.
We'll say that.
Well, I was basing it on just the rate, not the
Yeah,
base rate, because base rate actually went down.
Right.
So I suppose if you took it all as a whole, it's pretty
You
hard to calculate
probably
that.
should take it as a whole. It was, I believe, about 48% for those people in town, and because of the reduction in the differential for out of town, it was more like 37% out of town. As I recall, it's been a hot
It's
minute.
been a few times, a
It's
little
been
bit.
a
I
while.
agree, yeah. I'm not gonna hold you to anything, but I knew that's where you guys had come to
Yeah,
when the discussions were on. So,
yeah, it was not the most comfortable thing to have to do. New city administrator coming in and goes, well, this is gonna make me a lot of
And that
friends.
took effect in April this year?
It took partial effect in April and then full effect in May. There was a systems thing we had to tweak to get it to work properly.
And then in 2024, what was the increase?
I don't think there was an increase in 24, was there? No.
Well, it was voted on in late 23, and it took effect in 2024, I believe in April.
Yeah.
It was 10%.
We'll pull a chart.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
we
it's
don't
important to, because if you're telling people this is our rate increase, you're gonna get that question and you need
Sure.
to answer it. And so prior to 2024, what was the previous rate increase?
We'll get the tables.
Okay, I think it was 2021, but I'd like to know
There
for
was a
sure.
period in there where there was
Yeah,
no
there
rate
was
increase.
a
and
bit
there was
long
a
gap, that was too long.
significant period where they just did 5% and didn't really.
Yeah,
do
I think
it.
I think according to the minutes in 2021, it was 10%. And I'm not even sure if it was water and sewer or just sewer. I'm
Yeah.
not positive, but it's in the minutes.
When did they do the water decrease?
That was a
It's-
while
it's been
back,
about
it's in
a
the
year.
minutes too.
Yeah, that's been a while back.
The minutes are a really good read and you really learn what happened. There's a few gaps online, but
Yeah,
they're
we'll
out
just
there.
put a table up, I think that probably would be the illustrative way to deal with it.
I did have a few questions of the page about the reasons for the increase in water and sewer rates. The enhancement of the 94 lift station, and is that what the board approved Monday? Yeah, Monday.
Yeah.
So I know, is that the 80-20 grant, right?
Well, it so prices went up, the
Okay.
US EPA grant did not, so we're still getting about 51% covered, by the EPA grant. But we're having to come up with, instead of 744,000, it's, 2.1 is the,
Yeah.
so about
2.1.
2.8 with the Hamilton and DAD and 2.1 with the, COP, so,
Okay, slow down a little bit. 2.8 after the
so 2.8 is the total.
settlement, is that what you mean?
2.8 is a total,
Total
2.1 is
cost.
after the settlement.
Okay.
2.8.
The
Yeah,
whole project was a little over 500.
yeah.
Okay, so what will Willard have to pay?
We'll be doing, 2.1 would be what we will COP finance.
Plus another.
finance.
And then the additional comes from the supplement we earmarked. And then there's a little bit from cash reserve, I think, isn't it? About 60,000 or so from cash reserve.
Okay, so in 2026, what would Willard be paying out? I understand some of it's finance, but,
The additional funding that we had to come up with is 2.1.
and you're paying that all in 26 or you're
Most
finance?
likely, yeah, they're gonna call it down as they build, so what we've planned is we'll do short-term financing.
Okay,
to
so
cover it.
that's all in 2026?
And then if the Meadows goes ahead, we'll also have to come up with that, which is, 1.8 is the total project cost. So we'll have to come up with a portion of that.
If you'd like to go on to the next page.
You've got that on there, it's
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I thought you were finished, right, I apologize.
There you go.
Okay, if you look at this next page, it's a ending balance where we're at. The zero means we have no money. Just to tell you. The red line is where we would like to be, in order to have enough funds that when we can go toward projects, we're not gonna have that starting out in 2026. That's where we wanna be. If you look at the green line and the blue line's existing rate, going where we are currently, in about 2028, we're gonna be broke. Zero, to tell you, if there's no changes made in the rate. Even if there's a 10%, by 2029, 2030, we're gonna, or 2029, with a 10%. The same way if you look at the 12%. You can look at the lines, when it hits zero, we're out of money. If we continue the way we are right now. If you go to the next page, it's the 15 and the 20%. If you go on past, I don't have it on here, but if you go on past 2030, that does come back up. It does. Because in 20, we would like to see in 29, 28, some projects move forward at that point. But it does come back up, so it does improve. But that kind of gives you an idea. At the current rate, I mean, like I said, it's just not going to sustain what we need to do in order to continue providing the services the way it is. If you go to the next page, I mean, this is just a short list. The 2026, again, the upgrade on 94 and Forest Main, the Meadows, and close the lagoon. In the future, going down the road at 28 or 29, depending, again, nothing's set in stone. We need a new well. We need a new storage tank. We need to provide maintenance on the current tank that we have, the interior. It's about $200,000 for that. We've got that scheduled for next year. Because if we don't take care of it, it's going to cost more in the long run. Or we could end up with a hole in our tank and really big. So hopefully we don't want to get to that point. Trevor can tell you a lot of things that, that I'm just touching on.
You're doing great, so. You're nailing it.
Just touching on.
This, I have a question. It says upgrade of the 94 lift station. What's being done at the lift station?
They're gonna,
Turning it to track lights.
yeah, drop a third pump.
More pumps or larger pumps?
No, a third pump. They're
Oh,
gonna
a
put
third
one in, yeah,
Okay.
Third pump and increasing the pipe size discharge.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what,
Fairway runs as a duplex. Duplex pump, so they're gonna add a third pump. And then I think we talked about Hopefully, if there's enough contingency in the budget, adding a bigger generator to run 2 pumps and power goes
Okay.
out. Right now, it's just enough to run one.
Right.
And the 94 lift station, you talking about the one out on 160?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a thought on the line condition out there, you know, of course, we had issues with the Hamilton Dad work with the PVC line. But the ductile line down there, Steve gave us support of being able to take his crescent wrench, it's thin enough that you can bust a hole like a can opener in that line, so. At some point, if we don't go ahead next year while the money's there, at some point the city's gonna be on the hook for having to fix that thing, and that money may not be there, so the total project cost today is 5.8 million.
Well, when you had all the
Tomorrow,
lifts
it's-
on that line going to town, did you guys not end up in a lawsuit over that, or did you end up getting
Yeah.
some money back on that
We
deal?
did, and the supplement was earmarked by the board for the 94 upgrade, so
Okay.
it's sitting there ready to roll. As
Good.
as part of our portion, that's what's reduced the COP financing need a little bit. Unfortunately, the city at the time it was planning this, it thought it was gonna be 744,000 out of pocket, and those prices, just like everybody else, you know, you go to Walmart, the price will go up, I mean, the price of everything else is going up too, so the project is pulled in. And I brought some numbers if you guys are curious, you wanna see how that breakdown is, happy to share this with you.
No, I don't disagree about the price increase. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's wild. The engineers did recommend going to HDCP pipe or ductile line. The ductile line was about a $2 million price bump. But they wanted to have it, you know, fused so we don't have any risk of overbelling and other issues with surging and pumping. So it'll be one fuse line that'll run through. So it should be pretty solid. They use this stuff, of course, for, you know, oil fields and everything else, so it's pretty steady. It's gonna do its job, and hopefully that's gonna be one less thing we have to worry about for 40 years. Then the
Yeah.
next thing is to make a plan, make sure that when 40 years is up, there's money in the bank to take care of it. So that
Absolutely.
means knee-jerk panic modes.
With the HCPE, you have to have specialized equipment for repair and maintenance. If you started getting that, and you've gone through the training. I've been through all the training, went out to Oklahoma and fused pipe, and it's a different animal.
I have already talked to Windwater, and I
Okay.
said, the day that this project is a go, order me those parts. So, we're not gonna get like a fuse machine or anything like that, but we will have the parts.
Well, yeah, I didn't expect you to be doing
Yeah,
pipe
yeah.
repairs, and,
Yeah,
you know, if you're
but-
gonna have air release valves on there, you need those
We're
saddles.
getting
and-
extra air release valves, yeah, we'll have extra saddles, and there's
Mhm.
I mean, really all we gotta worry about is if somebody, you know, drills a hole through it, you know, power
Right.
hole or bores through it, you know, then we're cutting a piece out, putting 2 clamps, but they're specialized clamps, so.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, as soon as it's a go, order me some clamps, you know, give me whatever I need, and they said, okay, we'll do that.
Painting the water towers, is that in this year's budget? Is it gonna carry into next year?
We're carrying it into next year. We're prioritizing the interior, not the exterior, because particularly the meadows interior is a must do. Otherwise, we're gonna have bigger problems on our hands if we don't do it. So, while we push some things as far as we can, that one we cannot push.
Yeah.
We have to do it.
Are you gonna continue, you guys still wanna continue with after you get the towers kind of where you want them? Have these guys come in and we talked about that one meeting,
I would love to.
doing those guys do you know.
That would be our
Yeah,
recommendation.
I would definitely recommend that.
The benefit of that is it helps spread some of the costs out over a longer period, so it helps keep the rates from spiking when we do.
Whether you're maintaining something that is a crucial point to your city.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a similar plan in my last community, and it was
Yeah.
worth every penny. It's absolutely worth every penny.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree that at all. Preventive maintenance is 100 times down the road better. You know. You don't find yourself in these conversations that we talk about tonight.
No,
Yeah.
and the benefit of those is they give you a lovely report with lots of lovely pictures, and you kind of know what's coming up in 5 years if you're lucky, you know, maybe 2 years at worst.
And you've got a nice warranty, we've had a good conversation with them.
Yeah.
Products are warranty, Lakers warranty, it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, we would definitely be recommending that.
If you'd like to hear some more of the improvements that we're looking at. In 20, like I said, we're kind of resting in 27. We are planning on doing the school water tower interior in 27. And then in 28, we're planning on doing the exterior for the Meadows Tower. And that's $300,000 to do that. And it may be more, of course, by the time we get there, but that's approximate cost. Then we're looking at, in 2028, if we can, again, it depends, on a lot of different things, doing a B to 94 upgrades. And we're looking at probably $3.3 million to do that.
Can you say that again? Oh, B, I'm sorry.
B is in beta.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. B, is that the one the lobbyist is trying to get
Yes.
funds
Yeah.
for? Okay.
Yeah, so fingers crossed we get some help on that. We're billing that, I mean, really, for Willett, it's obviously an improvement, but beyond that, I believe it's an economic development project, and I hope that's what will help it prevail where other sewer projects may not. We have created a white paper, and lobbyist has been distributing that. We have a meeting on November 4th for the DNR to discuss options. I'm sure they have financing options, which if we could finance it, we would finance it. So I'm really pushing. Willett is, maybe they shouldn't have told me that. They said, Willett never asked for anything, so that's my ask. It's, all right.
We're throwing in, man, we want
Let's
to.
throw in everything and see what we can get. I mean, it has an immediate benefit. Again, it's another project that if we can deliver it, we have a developer, actually we have 2 developers in the area ready to develop it. So if we can deliver the capacity, it's another thing to get growth. And that's the growth we need to share the burden and really bring our community along to the next decade, I think.
So and this is, I'm sure, I've probably said this before, but is the city, are they completely against trying to float a bond to take a lot of these major projects on?
Well, I don't think anybody's against it. I think when I made the mention, it's been retorted that the city is generally a bit debt averse on stuff like that. So I figure if we're gonna ask for a bond, maybe we save that for a treatment plant.
And that could be too, I understand that. I mean, the treatment plant, I'm sure is down the road, and I think we all probably understand that.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking today, where you're at today, and we're some kind of a good start to get you going for some of these projects that you guys have laid out here tonight.
And the public may have a bit more trust in us with a bond if we made significant progress. So again, it's building on success and trying to deliver some results that we can show. We've done something, so hopefully it's enough that you now trust us with a bond issue. But it's going to take a significant amount of trust and a significant project, I think, to make it worth the ask.
And obviously, in your water rates, you would reflect to collect the money to cover the bond. And I know your projects are massive, and I know they're big dollars. They're not little dollars, and I understand that. So, you can do, the water rate increase, I think you need to do that, period. People are just gonna have to understand, sadly enough, that if you want this to be what it is, you've got to bring it up to a level where it's gonna be.
Right.
And if these projects such as the tower and some of this other stuff, you can float a $20 million bond and knock out a lot of this right now, what we've talked about tonight. In a short period of time. So set the bonds up for 20 years, and then pay them out and get them back down, reissue them without a rate increase or something, but to bring the rates up enough to handle the bond payment. And then these projects we're talking about tonight, you can start landing on the ground. I just think it, and I'll tell you that, the reason I say that is because we did it at the fire station. We floated a $10 million bond, and we have gone through everything. And they were major projects. We spent some major dollars because we see the growth coming. We know the growth's here. And
It's right there.
it's right at your doorstep. And so, this new ladder truck and that's coming, it'll be here in June next year. Took us 2 years to get it built. And And, you know, we just ordered another, you know, frontline pumper tanker, you know, it's gonna carry 2,000 gallons of water, but it's got a 1250 pump on it, so it's fire pump. You know, we've made improvements and we did with that, and it opened up our operations side, but yet increases in other things, took some of that money that we had saved, and we had to put toward other things too. But as far as the major projects go, it's absolutely been a blessing.
Yeah.
And I just see
Your
that in
money's
my
gonna
eyes for you guys. I just keep saying that, and I know you're tired of hearing me saying it. I just see the value in it, because there are people that are willing to buy those bonds. Those bonds are tax-free because they're municipal. So those people think, oh, okay, I get to buy in on that, and I get tax-free.
The money will go a lot further on a bond, because I mean, you're talking about 2% versus 5.5%.
Yeah.
I think if the public has a level of support for that, we would certainly entertain reaching out. We don't wanna necessarily pursue it for something that's not meaningful, but if the public feels strongly that that's an option they want us to pursue, we.
I think it's an option in my eyes, and I didn't quite understand, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I didn't quite understand some of it until I researched it all. And after I researched it and talked to others in other fire districts that done the bond, I can see now the benefit of it. And I can see that from the city here and prioritize what you guys are after, you know, the power projects or, you know, getting these lift stations in place and, you know, being ready for that when, and it puts you on the ground faster. So people see that, and by all means, it needs to be explored. I know you want to do that, but it is, to me, it just became an option for us in that side of the world over there to where it just works out, you know, and it just made life a tiny bit easier. But we got a lot of stuff done, you know what I'm saying, that needed to be done.
Yeah.
So that's why I mentioned, you know, the chance that maybe someday the council will decide they want to entertain at least researching it and looking at their projects and the overall number that you guys are bringing out here tonight that you're trying to accomplish by doing 20% rate increases. Well, you have a reason to bring the rate increase anyway because you need the maintenance. But if you're gonna float the bond, then you have a reason to show all project. It's no different what they do at the school. And the school never gets turned down.
Yeah.
I've never seen a vote for the school district ever turned down for a bond. And a lot of times they get them paid back down, you get them to a point, you can re-up that bond again at no cost and no rate increase. They just shoot her back up again and do it again and they go on. That's what they're all doing. Look at Springfield, you know, with their schools, holy cow. I mean, they floated a $20 or $25 million deal there. So it's just a thought to help you maybe progress you along a little faster that you guys would all love to see. I know in your heart you want this. I want to see you have something because you all are working hard, I get it. And I want to be a part of seeing that success for you. So that's my opinion.
Carolyn, did you have more that you were gonna tell us?
I was just gonna say, the water tower, again, you know, this is all preliminary. The storage tank, 1.8, again, that's in 2029, and a well, 1.2, in 2029. Of course, the cost could increase between now and then, but it's kind of an outline of when we'd like to see something happen.
The well in 2029, is that what you said?
2029,
Storage tank or well?
so basically $3 million from about. And then we have the treatment plant, 2034. Down the road.
Trevor, did you want to talk a little bit about projects accomplished since the last rate raise? I know we've done a lot since May, but
Yeah.
we had some highlights found.
Yeah, I can't really, I mean, I don't have a paper in front of me, remember right offhand, but I mean, Jackson Street was the big one. It was a later one, but, we replaced a lot of 2-inch PVC. We found a couple leaks on that, but the big part of that was we ran a 8-inch all the way. We tied it in right there in front of the library. And so that's all looped in now. We added a one fire hydrant. Tied that into Robertson, so it's all loop to feed now, because it was just a dead end line.
2-inch line.
Yeah, just a dead end 2-inch, so now we got a whole lot, you know, it's a lot, so,
Mark Street did. Took a bunch of galvanized out.
Yeah, Mark Street, and we had,
Miller.
oh, what other, we did another one since May though.
There was Langston, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
Langston, thank you, yes, that was the other one. And both of those are totally done now, but, yeah, Langston, we took out, I think it was 400 feet of 2-inch galvanized. Found a bunch of leaks on it too, when, you know, that never surfaced when I pulled it out, so. And we actually got a compliment on that on Facebook the other day, so,
What did you replace it with?
6-inch,
6 inch.
yeah, 6-inch C900. And then, what have any other water line projects we've done since May?
Cavalier.
Well, that was in January though,
Well, you finished it.
and we did get it finished. Didn't do that, yeah. Yeah, but I think that's probably the two big ones that we've done, but we have replaced a bunch of meters. We did buy meters, and, if they're over over 1 million gallons, we're going ahead and replacing them, to try to pick up some water loss that we've been missing out on, so, we are starting to do that again.
And then on the sewer, you had done your I-9, Frederick on D, and, patch kits, we built a patch machine.
Yeah, we bought a patch kit, for the sewer lines. So far we put one patch kit in, which basically it's a machine that'll sticks this inflatable tube down in the line, it airs it up, and then it's a resin, fiberglass resin, and then it seals to the pipe. And it's got flow through, so you don't have to pick the lines, it just, everything stays in place. You leave it there, you air it up, leave it there for 2 hours. So we fixed one crack with that, big spider crack, most of the clay line, so, they worked great though. And then like you said, we did D-lift station, we installed sump pumps all around the basin. Whereas before, all that groundwater around that concrete basin was just going into the basin. You know, because you don't wanna float your tank out of the ground, so. So now we've got it to where all those sump pumps are pumping it out into the ditch like it should have been before, so. Yeah, so that's probably a huge ionized source that we fixed there.
And they just spent a lot of time on the I&I identifying, going through camera footage, going through smoke reports and stuff like that. So they've got a list that they're prioritizing on what their next move is gonna be.
Yeah, we've got years of I&I footage. And we have one guy that he goes and reads the wells and lift stations, and then he goes to the shop and he reviews camera footage from years that they got it, but they never fixed it, so. And then he goes on GIS and he's plotting all those points and just giving a brief description, you know, hey, this is what I found here, you know, investigate. Maybe it was fixed, maybe it wasn't, but most of it was not, so that's what he does.
All right, appreciate the update.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Presentation on the rate increase proposal. Do we have any unfinished business we need to discuss?
I believe so.
Okay, well, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting if there's nothing else.
I did have one more question on the timing. You said we'll meet again before, so the board will meet, and when are you presenting the rate increases to the board is what I'm trying to say?
Formally or just in?
Whatever.
I
I
plan
don't
to
know.
present kind of what the numbers are to the next board meeting, but it will not be a hearing.
And that's before we meet again, right?
Yeah.
And then a public hearing in
To
December?
ensure that we have plenty of time to get notices out, our bills will run on the 20th. So we'll likely put bill inserts on the 20th, planning for December the 8th. Didn't want to do it on that Thanksgiving week because people may be out of town. So we push it to the 8th. That should give everybody time to get their bills, time to get comments. We'll encourage you to reach out with comments to you guys. We'll encourage you to reach out with comments to us, to the clerk. Give every opportunity they can to give that comment. What I was referring to with you guys is we'll have another meeting between now and the hearing. So if you guys get comments, feedback we need to consider, we can discuss that in here, and people can feel free to come here as well, listen online.
So the bill inserts, will it just be to notify of a public hearing?
Yes, there
Are
are
you
the
gonna-
dates and the information, and
Like,
just
are you gonna
the current
list-
recommendations, but no specific one. Yeah.
Okay,
Just
so by
that
then, will the board have a chance to make a recommendation and narrow
They,
it down? or
they'll need to pick one, I think.
They'll have to pick one, okay.
Yeah.
Were they looking for a recommendation from us?
No, at this point, I mean, unless you feel particularly compelled to make a recommendation, I think right now, what we're looking for is just to make sure it's presented. We're trying to stop belly, get the word out, get everybody who wants to participate. Last year, you know, there was some good turnout in the end, but in the beginning it was kind of slow start, so we're just trying to get it out early, so everybody's got plenty of time to voice concerns, opinions, provide input, ask questions, and hopefully show up and listen to the final presentation of the hearing.
On a personal note, I am interested in your opinion on it, but.
I'm sure we'll share it with you.
Let's just sleep on it a little bit.
I look forward to it.
And again, maybe we can discuss that on the next board meeting, but would definitely encourage you to attend the actual hearing and speak and participate, particularly if you've got folks, you know, sometimes people can't make it, and perhaps you can, and you could relay the opinions of folks who just couldn't make it that night. I think all of that is helpful. Ultimately, the decision becomes a difficult decision because nobody wants to pay more, but in this position, it again, is open with, it is a business, we have to make a business decision just like any corporation does, and sometimes the decision is not one you feel comfortable with, not one you feel happy with, but you have to make it anyway. Is that kind of,
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
yeah, so we
I'm at
basically,
the rambling point of the day.
that we do meet again before the
Yes.
public hearing, and that is helpful.
Yeah.
And I would just encourage you, whenever the board does make a recommendation, I know in the past 2 rate increases, the communication has been a little unclear, you know, you need to say, not just here are the rates, but this is the percentage of increase, because, you know, not everyone has access to what the current rates are.
Well, we started
It's
with a
not that-
percentage this time, so we'll
Yes,
we'll get back into
and I
it.
appreciate that, yeah, I think
We're
that's-
learning,
that's
we're learning and
useful.
we're listening. Yeah.
All right, anything
Thank
else?
you.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second? Second. Favor say aye, we are adjourned.
Aye.
Thank you all.